And actually, Michigan State, I wanted to touch on just a. Did you see their quarterback who said take the over
Yeah.
against Florida Atlantic? They ended up winning 16-10. That quarterback went 20. He went 10 for 24 with 2 interceptions. So
Aiden
look,
Childs, like up until maybe Texas A&M, I was like, Aiden Childs is the worst like Power Five quarterback that we have. I think it might be Connor Wigman of Texas A&M, but Aiden Childs was so bad. I don't know what Jonathan Smith is going to have to do for like with his first year at Michigan State, but they are going to have to pivot so fast.
I think what I noticed a lot of in week 1, there was so many teams that had like big transfer quarterbacks that did not play good at all. And I started to think like if they weren't a transfer, they be getting benched right now? Like UCLA, Ethan Garbers,
Hmm.
he was awful, and I don't know if he's a transfer, but he struggled against Hawaii. He's just blindly throwing it 40 yards downfield so many times, and I was just like, there in the era of the transfer, there has to be at least one quarterback on UCLA's roster that is good right now, right? Like you have so many on the roster, one of them's bound to pop, right? Wouldn't you just cycle through week 1?
Yeah, but also you brought this guy in because you believed in him. I think then you can go the opposite way if you're a team and you can convince yourself like, hey, we got to play him. Look at what Cam Ward is doing. Look at what Kyle McCord is doing. Did you see Syracuse, their coach, say that he was going to send a bottle of champagne to Ryan Day for letting them have Kyle McCord? So it's like you have these guys that realistically, like they're leaving for a reason, but I can fix them. If we can get the perfect landing spot for them. And then you have guys that like just don't pan out. And it is just one of those things like you're dealing with young men and each one is going to react differently. Each spot is going to be different. You could have one that's going to thrive and go crazy, again, Cam Ward, or you're going to have one that just fails. So,
Looking like a lot of fails right now, but we'll
but the
see.
highlights are what keep people coming back. They're like, I can have a Cam Ward, I can have a Kyle McCord, and
Like
it's going to work out for
like
me.
DJU was pretty bad.
Oh my goodness. But everyone, that hope, it's hope. You know what I mean?
It's the Carson Wentz, like, oh my god, he has the talent. If we could
It's
just
there.
if we could just get him to do it consistently. And I don't know. There was a lot of quarterbacks this week that I saw and I was just like, I just don't see it this year. I I would be pulling the plug early to save my job and say, listen, one of these backups is going to be Joe Burrow. One of these backups is going to be Baker Mayfield. Like they're bound. I saw a couple games where they would like bring in a freshman quarterback. Not really. I think I watched a lot of FCS uh, this week. You know,
Yeah.
a degenerate gambler, but they were rotating. They're bringing in freshman quarterbacks, and the freshman quarterbacks started to ball out, and then they found like, oh, shit, we have a guy. So I don't know. If my job's on the line in the SEC, I might start taking risks like that, and we're not in one of the upper echelon teams.
I mean, look at Vanderbilt. Vanderbilt started a true freshman in Diego Pavia, and he ended up getting them the win. And now they have their quarterback for the next few years, or at least until next year when he gets transferred to an actual good school.
Yeah, and
But that's also the thing. Like, you've got to build around these freshman quarterbacks. Like, you've got to have a team kind of not ready, but like ready. You've got to have some pieces in play because if I am a true freshman quarterback, a Dylan Raiola, a Nico, and something goes wrong, or like, hey, you put me in a position that's not good enough for me, someone is going to come in and swoop and get me. You know what I mean?
did we talk Dylan Raiola yet?
No, we haven't. But one thing I want to make one more analogy on the transfer quarterback. It's I was watching Arrested Development and it reminds me of that quote where they're sitting on the cliff and he's like, those fools, they everyone thinks that they can just do this and everyone fails. but it just might work for us. That's how they look at transfer quarterbacks. Like it just might work for us, you
Yeah,
know?
DJU,
Yep.
this might win for us. Yeah, but Dylan Raiola, this is your guy.
Oh, dude, I'm all in. I'm so hyped for Nebraska this year. Matt Rule coming in has a true freshman quarterback phenom that people wanted. He decommits from Georgia, moves back over to Nebraska because, blood is thicker than water. He had a dad that went to Nebraska and he looked good. And I was gassing him. I was like, yo, what's up with this Pat Mahomes cosplayer? Why are we doing this? Like, that's so cringe. Like, brother. But he went out there and he can sling it. And after the first drive, I was like, okay, I see the vision here. And he ended up, I think the first half, he had like 2 touchdowns and 192 yards. Looked
Second
great.
of the game, he launched a touchdown.
Yeah. So I think you see what he can do. And I'm so excited because next week, Colorado is going to Nebraska. You are going to see what people are hyping up as Shedeur Sanders, one of the top quarterbacks in college football, going against Dylan Raiola, who is one of the top freshman quarterbacks. I'm excited to see what they look like against each other and how that matchup is going to play out because I think that Nebraska is real this year. I think that they are going to blow them out.
To me, yeah, Dylan Raiola is amazing. I'm really looking forward to watching Colorado get blown out by Nebraska. Uh, but I just feel like it's so weird how much Dylan Raiola is kind of copying Patrick Mahomes from the hair to the number and yeah, the style of play. But I mean, it looks like I'm looking at a picture of Dylan Raiola now. He looks like baby Gronk with Patrick Mahomes' haircut. Like he looks like such a fanboy.
He
And
idolizes this guy. This is the guy that, but to be fair, he does train with him. Like this is a guy that he actually has a relationship with, and it's just like one of those things where you have that age gap. You have that kid that really wants to like hang around you, and you're like, oh, okay, cool. And he's like, oh, you wear polarized sunglasses. I wear polarized sunglasses. Oh, you walk kind of like a little bit prissy. I do too. Like you know what I mean?
like how much of this is kind of like almost a marketing play like, hey, look, I'm so much like Mahomes. Maybe when I get to the draft, that's all you guys see. First round pick.
I don't think it's so much of a marketing play because he's 3 years out from being a draft pick. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I think that this is like he's in a phase right now, and he's gonna look back and be like, "Oh, why did I do that?" But it worked. It put him on the map. It made people like notice him, and realistically, like his play is going to speak for itself moving forward. That he is Pat Mahomes like, and even if he drops the look and the mannerisms, he still plays this way, it's going to mean big bucks for him.
Yeah, I mean that's all. I'd like to see him find his own style, his own thing. I mean, get a different haircut. That's all my thing. But yeah, his play is looking amazing. I'm excited. And speaking of Colorado, they played a tough game this week against North Dakota State. Really, the whole world was watching this game really because it was Thursday night, right?
It was the Thursday night to kick off the long college football weekend.
Yeah, and it was a nail biter. I think last year the hype was insane for this Colorado team, and they won like four games. This year is supposed to be their year where, oh yeah, now Dion got his recruits, he got his guys, they fixed the offensive line, but now they're barely squeaking by, albeit a really good North Dakota State team. But how are they going to fare against the Nebraskas of the world? How are they going to fare against their conference? I feel like it's going to be a long season for Colorado. They might be right back at another 4-win season.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at their schedule. I don't see a whole lot of winnable games for Colorado, realistically. I mean, the one thing that they were like, okay, we are going to get out and we are going to get an offensive line. They only have one starter coming back. They revamped the entire offensive line. When it came down to crunch time, what do? they throw a pass. And I actually just seen Shedeur Sanders and Shedeur kind of talking shit to each other on video. And Shiloh was like, "Why'd you throw that pass? That was weird." And it's
Yeah.
just one of those things like,
Did you see what Dion said after the game?
no, what did he
He
say?
said that Shedeur wanted to get one of that kid a catch for the game.
Okay, so you throw a fade? Like you could throw a slant, like a quick slant, and get an easy catch. Instead, you wanted to show off. You wanted something for your
Here,
Heisman highlight reel. That was stupid.
here's the
If
thing:
I'm
Colorado believes that they are so much better than they are, and so that's why they're playing this almost Madden style against North Dakota State, where they're like, "Oh yeah, don't worry, this game's over. We won. Let's just try to fucking get a highlight in." And it's like, no, North Dakota State came 4 yards away from beating you, but you're over here acting like you're up 40 points and that you're hot shit. But like, it's a close game, literally. Why are we throwing on first down when you could run the clock out?
Yeah, I mean, realistically, they're not a great team. Like, and their play calling was weird, and you could tell. Like now, that makes a little bit more sense that Shedeur was calling the shots on that because Pat Shermer is there. Pat Shermer is an NFL guy. Like realistically, it just felt like a disconjoined game plan. It just didn't match like what they should have been doing. They are so lucky that Travis Hunter is there. They are so lucky that Travis Hunter is going to would follow Deion Sanders to the end of the earth. Shedeur Sanders is a Travis Hunter merchant. Like,
Yeah, I mean, honestly, when I see all the hype going around Shedeur, I just don't see it yet. I mean, I think he's good, but I don't think he's like top 5 in the nation. I don't think he's like Heisman candidate quality or first round pick quality. I mean, maybe I'm going to be proven wrong the rest of the season, but I just don't see it, especially in a game like this where he is scrambling around. He's just chucking it up downfield. He got saved on that third down at the end of the game where they called defensive pass interference. It was a bad pass interference by the safety,
mhm.
by the way, was a backup because their best safety was out. Uh, Travis Hunter just carries this team. He is the most talented player in the country.
Yeah,
He is probably the best receiver, and he's a great corner. He is literally carrying this Colorado team. But once they get into better competition, once they get into more physical competition, I don't think there's any way he's going to be able to go 90 plays in a game.
I think I see maybe one more win on their schedule. So like next week they're going to Nebraska. Then they got Colorado State. We know that they can beat them. Then it's Baylor. Then they go to UCF. Then they have Kansas State coming. They go to Arizona, Cincinnati, Texas Tech, Utah, Kansas, and OK State.
Yeah.
There's not a whole lot of wins on this schedule. This is a fucking hard schedule for this team. The Big 12 is no joke. Like these, one, they have offensives, and two, they play fast. There's not a whole, and they will punch you in the mouth. Utah will punch them in the mouth. Texas Tech will punch them in the mouth. Arizona will punch them in the mouth.
Yeah, I just don't see it with this team. And I think Dion is starting to kind of come to realize it because him after that game where he's like, yeah, it's almost like it feels like we didn't win. Like he's not happy because like talent wise, what they brought in and shit talking wise, what they've been, how they've been feeling, they should have blown this North Dakota State team out. Like if say you're who's in their conference right now? Like
It's Kansas State.
say you're Kansas State, say you're Kansas, Utah, you expect to beat North Dakota State by 20, 30 points.
Yeah.
Like they're a great team, but if you're trying to be in the upper echelon of this conference, that's a team you should easily blow out.
Yeah.
And they came down to the wire. They came down to the very end. And this it's only going to get more difficult from here. I don't think Travis Hunter, I think physically, I don't know how he's going to hold up this season. I think the Heisman is his to lose, but with this schedule, with the amount of snaps he's taken, I think he should just take it easy and get into the draft.
I don't think that he's gonna. I think that he is gonna miss games. I don't think he's gonna win the Heisman. He should get an award for something, but I think that there's going to be Nico in Tennessee, who we didn't really talk about yet, who is a phenom, who is going to have just one more opportunity in big games. He's going to have more like wins in big games, and he is going to have better stats.
Yeah, and I think Shedeur is gonna have a tough season. I've seen he's done some good things. He really, when he settles into the pocket, he's consistent, hitting short, medium throws. I don't really like his long ball right now. I need to see more from that. So I don't know. I'm not big on Shedeur. I'm not thinking he's a first round talent right now, and I think this season's gonna be kind of a roller coaster ride for him. Do you think he's first round?
I think that he is going to be a first round pick just because of the marketability. We've seen guys go higher for less. You know what I mean? And you could convince yourself that, okay, well, if I get him and I coach him, what natural abilities that he has, we can make that into a guy. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I can see that. And then he's getting like he's been specially trained from a young age by
Mhm.
like multiple NFL talent. So I definitely could see someone talking themselves into it.